Hey guys, today I'm back with the second part of the furry convention, Catastrophe, disasters. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video and let's get into it. We're going to start with Plushgate at BLFC 2019. Crow's Perch and Slit Pup lost a $300 plushie of her fursona. They harassed con attendees, con staff, hotel staff, and police to find it, accusing of someone to stealing it, and then demanding the hotel to release footage from the CCTV. The hotel said no to this. She flipped out and convinced a whole bunch of people to review bomb the hotel that BLFC 19 was being held at. Apparently, Crow's Perch is a cub fetishist, and her persona / plushie is how she lives out her fetishes. People did not take kindly to this. As of recording, the plushie has not been found. The next furry convention that we are going to talk about is Midwest Fur Fest 2014. The chloroform gas that was released at the con.
The Chicago Tribune, 19 people were hospitalized at a furry convention in Illinois after what's being called an intentional leak of chlorine
What's
gas.
a furry convention?
Did I get that wrong?
A leak there. Oh, gosh.
Okay. Officials were called when a strong odor of chlorine spread.
I think they had to evacuate the building and everything. Sent the hotel guests along with convention attendees into the cold night, many still dressed in their furry costumes.
We have a lot of costumers out here with big fluffy costumes that'll keep people warm, so at this point, we're not at all worried.
So we've been pulling people into a cuddle to warm this baby.
No, thank you. Thank you.
And giving her jackets and blankets.
Yes.
We just told Mika what the convention was about.
Costumes kept everybody warm was the good news. The hotel was
Where you going?
contaminated.
Hey,
guests came back inside at 4 a.m. Police still
come back.
The matter is a criminal investigation.
Could you check on Mika, see if she's okay? She's over there somewhere.
Mika has left the building.
All right. Coming up, we've got the Muzz Street opinion pages. We're going to be searching for Mika. I guess
she just learned something. Learned something important about this world.
She just learned something that we all wish we didn't know. She ran out of the studio.
Chlorine gas was released from a broken container on the 10th floor of the hotel. Police investigation concluded it was an attack, but closed the investigation due to the lack of evidence as who done it. There were accusations thrown out as far as who may have done it, but as stated earlier, this was resulted in nothing. It was a statement that came from Midwest Fur Fest themselves, but then there were also statements from the victims who were allegedly on the 9th floor when the attack happened, and some of them said that I'm in the ER and effectively okay. For anyone who's concerned, coughing up blood kind of sucks though, real talk. So who was accused and what happened? So there was 2 people that were suspects for this. Most people claimed that it was Ryan Hill, but Dog Patch Press claimed it was Magnus Drillin. The main reason the general populace blamed Ryan for the attack was him allegedly taking credit for it. Ryan has a very sordid history, and some of it includes making fun of dead people who died in car crashes, sending scat porn to people, drawing over art cons, and turning people's persona into baby fur / scat fetish art. He allegedly had made bomb threats to Anthrocon. Not sure if this was before or after the chlorine attack. So Ryan goes on a podcast with his mom, by the way. His mom tries to defend him and defend his actions. But on this podcast, after the attack, because most furries were up in arms and they wanted to know who did it, his mom comes on and defends him, outs him for being diagnosed as special needs, and specifically that despite him technically living on his own, he has assistance from family. Apparently the FBI was looking into him for earlier threats he made when the gas attack happened. He was the first person that was interrogated. The FBI cleared him afterwards. Ryan's mother decides to call every furry mentally handicapped, including her own son, which is the second time she's done it on this podcast. One of the interviewers gets really mad about this one, Ryan sends scat porn to some dude on the show because he wanted to be his friend. Other person that was accused during the chlorine attack was Magnus. The main accuser against Magnus was Dog Patch Press. He conducted an interview which actually produced some relative info. For instance, Magnus carried out a similar attack in 2004 against a bank. Apparently 3 separate people confirmed that he was under FBI investigation. Foxler also claimed to have knowledge of who carried out the attack but was blackmailed into silence in 2017. This is most likely a lie for attention, but this did not stop the FBI from actually knocking on his door. Patches goes on to insinuate that Magnus's potential motive for this attack was because a staffer stopped him and his potential spotter from running out into traffic, thus ruining his fun or something like that. A roommate was interviewed as well, but said that despite him being a suspect, they didn't see any chlorine in the room or think that Magnus did it. So Ryan and Magnus, that wasn't the only trouble that they would get at Midwest Fur Fest. There were a couple different times that both of them got in trouble. First, Magnus. Magnus wore a Confederate flag fursuit called Arkansas to a con, and furries, being predominantly LGBT, got butthurt. Magnus has a track record of pissing people off with his suits. He got banned from Midwest Fur Fest shortly after the first incident for his own safety, quote unquote. He was also banned from AC-17 due to wearing a suit, which was against the con's rules, to a furry parade plus failing to pay registration. He finally went back to Midwest Fur Fest in a different suit, only to be arrested for trespassing, most likely due to the ban still being in place. BLFC 15, this is where Ryan Hill brought a pellet gun. Kyle Lambert tried to take the credit for quote-unquote bringing him to justice, but he was only seeking attention. Furries were upset because Ryan wasn't arrested for terroristic threats like they thought, but merely detained for trespassing at the event. He was already banned from. Apparently the con had a restraining order against him, which prevented him from being present in the con space, as well as the surrounding city. How anyone could produce a restraining order that prevents him from entering a city without verifying proof of him being a domestic terrorist is beyond me, but, you know, whatever. He was released shortly after being detained and allowed to return to his home in California under supervision of his mother. The other furry convention that had a catastrophe was BLFC 2022, and this catastrophe was over the dance competition and, more importantly, a contestant that was participating in the dance competition, Cord Kitty. Well, Cord Kitty kind of has their own kind of, like, there's a lot of videos out there about him because he's a PDF file, just so much on this guy. And then leading up to this event, people on Twitter were saying that, hey, Cord Kitty should not be, attending. He is transphobic. He's not an LGBT ally. There was all of this leading up to the event, but then there was some other things like him harassing a person's service dog to the point of where this person no longer takes that service animal to conventions. There was also Cord Kitty stalking a 12-year-old fursuit dancer and their friend who was also under the age of 17. At the con, when the dance competition came up and Cord Kitty came on stage, there were people booing the whole entire time he was performing. Also said that a whole entire row of people got up and left from the audience of this dance competition because they did not want Cord Kitty there.
Recital, everyone! That performance. Here is Cord Kitty! Cord Kitty!
clip some of that video because there's copyright music to it, but I wanted to show that the person before Cord Kitty, they were getting a lot of applause, a lot of, just clapping all right around. And then once Cord Kitty comes on, you can just hear people screaming, yelling, booing. But a lot of people wanted to know what was going on with the comm staff. Like, why did they allow this guy to actually be able to dance? And there's actually no real clear answer. A lot of the furries believe that Hogwash, who was one of the judges, let him in. Some of them are like, well, no, Hogwash wouldn't do that. So it's just a whole big mess of like, was he allowed to even dance? But that was basically that disaster at that con. Hope you guys did enjoy this video about furry con disasters and catastrophes, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.